So we're going to take a look at this absolute value inequality. When you have an absolute value inequality, you would start with the absolute value by itself. So this -6, we're going to move to the other side by adding 6 to both sides. So then we would have the absolute value of 6x minus 4 greater than or equal to 6. Now remember, your absolute value problems depend on this sign. With a greater than or equal to, you split it up one way. With a less than or equal to, you split it up a different way. So this one's a greater than or equal to. So as we split it up, we say that the 6x minus 4 can just plain old be greater than or equal to 6. Or the 6x minus 4 can be less than or equal to -6. So that's based on the greater than or equal to. So whatever's inside the absolute value symbol has to come out bigger than 6. So numbers such as -7, -8, -9, those numbers, when they have an absolute value taken of them, come out to be larger than 6. So in this bottom inequality, we're looking at numbers that are smaller than -6, so numbers like -7, -8, or -9. Okay, so when you have a greater than or equal to, here's how you split it up. You just have to remember numbers that are just plain old bigger than the 6, or numbers that are smaller than -6. Okay, well, let's go ahead and solve these two inequalities then. So we'll go ahead and add 4 to both sides. And then we'll divide out the 6. So we have x greater than or equal to 10/6, which is the same as 5/3. Then we'll go ahead and solve this other inequality. So we'll add 4 to both sides. So we have 6x less than or equal to -2. Divide both sides of the inequality by 6. We have x less than or equal to -2/6, which is the same as -1/3. So as we answer this on the number line, we have the two parts to our answer. We have the x is greater than or equal to 5/3, and the x is less than or equal to -1/3. So on the number line there, x is greater than or equal to 5/3. So each of these little tick marks here is 0.5. So 5/3 is 1 2/3, about 1.67. So 1.67 will be between 1.5 and 2. Now you have to place it fairly carefully on WebAssign, or you're not going to get your answer acknowledged correctly. So 1.67, it's a tiny bit closer to the 1.5 than it is to the 2. And we go off to the right. And then x less than or equal to -1/3, that's the same as -0.3 repeating. So here we have -0.5. So -0.3 is a little bit closer to the -0.5 than it is to the 0. So as you mark it on the number line, be a tiny bit closer to the -0.5 than you are to the 0. In interval notation, you would write that out as -∞, comma, -1/3, square bracket, union, square bracket, 5/3, comma, infinity. So it's all in the inequality symbol. If you have a greater than or equal to, you split it up with just dropping the absolute value symbols for one half, and for the other half, switching the inequality sign to less than or equal to -6. So with a greater than or equal to, you always get the opposite ends of the number line. If we had had a less than or equal to, if you want to stay and watch that, I'll do a little less than or equal to. So if you had, just say 6x minus 4 less than or equal to 6. So here's another example. Then you split that up between 6 and negative 6. So depending on the inequality symbol, less than or equal to, you get this inequality versus the other one. Because here you're wanting numbers that come out such as -5, -4, -3 for negative numbers because their absolute value is smaller than 6. So this one, you would go ahead and solve by adding 4 to all three parts of the inequality. And dividing all three parts of the inequality by the 6. So you get the actual opposite answer. You get -1/3 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 5/3. So it all depends on the absolute value symbol. Which way does the absolute value symbol point? Does the absolute value symbol have, does the inequality symbol point at the absolute value, so the absolute value is smaller than 6? Or does the absolute value symbol, does the inequality symbol point at the 6 so that the absolute value is greater than 6? So here you want numbers that are on opposite ends of the number line. If you have a less than or equal to, then you want a middle piece. So absolute value less than or equal to, you want the middle piece. Absolute value greater than or equal to, you want the two ends of the number line.